provided them with evidence that says we're a corporation. And our parents did by making an application for a birth certificate, okay? At common law, the births are recorded in the back of the family Bible. That's the way it's done. And so our parents went down and registered. So they created that corporation. That's where it all started. And then what happened is they passed these colorable laws. Remember we talked about color of law, okay? And a lot of you people that are here are going to miss that stuff about color of law, okay? There are laws that they pass that really don't apply to anybody. But we don't know that. We don't know their law. They go and use this wordsmithing like includes. And so a lot of us, because we're asleep at the wheel, because we're just ignorant, because, you know, I mean, shoot. Their government educational system is designed to set us up to teach us how to operate in their system. But it doesn't teach us everything. And we have to go out and find out that other stuff. And so what we have to do is we have given them by going down and making an application for a driver's license. Okay? And that's what I tell them in my registered letters here. I don't have a driver's license. There's no such thing as a driver's license under Texas law. And so therefore, I don't have one. And that's what I told the cops today. And anyways, so they gave me a ticket for driving without a driver's license. But they let me go and I'm here. So anyways, so we have to defeat that. We have to go on the attack. And that's what my procedure does, is it goes on the attack and puts them in a position where you have for perjury of oath or something like that, breach of public trust. I mean, that's a felony in the criminal code, breach of public trust. Sedition, okay? Sedition is making war against the law of Canada.
The government.
Making war against the government, that's right.
That's you and me.
And so, once you understand who the government is, that's me and you, that's right. And our law is the Magna Carta. Okay, the Magna Carta says the government, nobody will go upon us or cause us any injury in any way except by a jury of your peers or the law of the land, okay? A jury of our peers is pretty straightforward, that's a 12-man jury. Law of the land is just another way of saying it, a 12-man jury. And so, when they stop you on the highway, that's an unlawful arrest. I don't care why they're stopping you, unless they witness a felony, and I'm talking an indictable offense. You know, the cops today said there's no such thing as a felony in Canada. Well, BS, okay? Because it talks in here about indictable offenses. And a felony is an indictable offense. So anyways, traditionally a grand jury would convene and create an indictment. And that's what a felony is. So anyways, we got to train our public officials. You know, we've been asleep at the wheel. It's our own fault. We got to train them and get them back to where they know who's the boss. And that's what part of this procedure is. And so, you know, I can't remember what slide we're on. Does anybody remember? I think I was around here.
Yes.
It was 9. Some 9?
Well, it was forcing the issue. That's exactly what you said, because I wrote
Was
it down.
Paragraph 9?
I thought it was 9.
I think we already got to that.
Paragraph 19.
19.
Oh, 19.
Okay, there we go. Okay, motor vehicles commercial.
Yeah.
What was the last one?
One for that?
18. Oh, okay, yeah.
Person is a fictitious entity. It even says it in the criminal code. I
Yeah.
just said it to you.
Okay, good. Next.
Okay. And that's one of the things I tell them. And I've got, if you go out and look in the back of my truck, I got a red Dodge 4x4 sitting out there in the parking lot. And on the back it says private vehicle. And in white letters. And I went to a place that makes up signs. And got some nice stencil. It's nice, it's nice. Matter of fact, I didn't go there, you buy them in Texas. Anyways, but you can go to any place, you know, I had one sitting out here actually. And I think I got one, yeah, I did. This is the black one. There you go. You peel off this side, put it up on your, no, you peel off this side, put it up on the truck and wipe out all the bubbles and everything, and then you peel off the outside, and it's there. You can go to a sign place and they'll make those things up for you. And if you buy them in large quantities, you know, you might get them down to, like in Texas, you can get them pretty cheap. But in New York, it was costing me 20 bucks a pop. Texas, I could get them for 10 bucks a piece. You know, it varies. So anyways, once you get our public servants trained, they will, most of them, will know not to mess with you. And the ones that don't, if they're criminals, you got to think about it. What do you do if there's criminals? You root them out and prosecute them. So you have to use the stuff that you send them. First of all, this is what I sent them, as I sent them my notice of demand. I give them an oath of office. And these are all talking about the paragraphs that are in there, for those that weren't here last week. And I go on a bunch of points that I tell them. And one of them is that I don't have a motor vehicle. I have a private vehicle, and it says it right on the back of my truck in clear and unmistakable letters. I've seen vehicles in Arizona where the registration had expired many years ago, and they're still driving around, and they have a private vehicle on the back. And they don't, I guess they don't mess with them, they're still driving around. A friend of mine told me that a cop came up to him and said, "Why is my computer telling me to leave you alone?" That's true, I'm telling you.
Is that Texas?
Really
I
good
think
computer.
I think they've got me in there too, at least in some places. I don't know, obviously they don't hear yet, but I'll get them trained. I think that's the case. Yeah, one time I told you guys last week about doing 85 and a 55 in New York, and I come around. I was like the head of the pack. Everybody was going that fast, but I come around the corner and there's a cop, and it was highway patrol, and I sent him one of these. I sent the superintendent, the director, and his cherries came on, and I took my foot off the gas, but I never hit the brakes. I just slowed down, and I just kept right on going. He didn't come after me. So I have to guess that that's the case, but anyways. They're involved in commerce. Everything they do is commercial. So you gotta defeat that. And that's why I tell them, you're not authorized to serve commercial process on me. Everything they do is commercial. If you don't say it, they can presume it. You have to say it, you have to say it and write it. We're in martial law. It's martial law everywhere. Canada is foreign to Alberta. Canada, province of Alberta, in all block capital letters, is a municipal corporation. It is a sub-corporation of the municipal corporation called Canada. All courts, police, law enforcement officers are in Canada. You look at this ticket right here they gave me. It says violation ticket. And then underneath that it says Canada in all block capital letters. It's a criminal corporation. And I guarantee you that's going to be in my affidavit. Matter of fact, it's already in the notices that I sent to their boss 6 months ago. So I got them, and I told them, I said, I got you. I said, when I left, they gave me the ticket, right? I said, well, that's fine. I said, I don't want you to take this personal. I said, because I'm going to have to ruin your day now. And I said, it's my patriotic duty to make sure my public servants honor their oath of office. And so I'm going to do everything I can to ruin your day. And but don't take it personal.
It's not personal, it's his business.
That's right, yeah. So they're all in Canada. They're in martial law. And that's why, this is one thing that I was thinking about doing, is the provost marshal. That's the Canadian Armed Forces. I was going to include him in my my circuit, I guess you might say. So we'll see how that goes. They have no authority whatsoever. That's paragraphs 24 and 25 talk about color of law. They don't have a shred of authority.
May I ask what these slides are coming from?
What do you mean?
What document, what book are you getting these out of?
Paragraph 24, 25, what's that?
Are there any pamphlets up front there?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's these documents right here. And there's a copy of all these in a package of paperwork I got here. these packages, I got them together so that they won't get all scrambled up next time, this
Good.
time. Basically, there's the presentation. So there's 3 presentations I'm going through this time and last time. So if you got it last time, you have almost everything that's here. I added a few things, some additional criminal complaints that I put together. And what I do essentially is I send them this document. This is going to Michelle Jean, Governor General of Canada. Okay, she's about to leave office actually in October.
Yeah.
So, but I want somebody that I can go after, so I'll go after her and ruin her day as she's going out, basically. Because I'm going to file a criminal complaint against her after I let her sit on this for about 30 days. Anyways, this is about a 12-page document, and it goes down. It's all these points are this paragraph 24 and 25. This front page goes down to paragraph 7. So, and that's what I was going to mention is for any of you that weren't here last time, I need witnesses to witness these, and just let me read the witness statement. It says here, we the undersigned witnesses, who are sovereign living souls, each and every one of us, and inhabitants of the land of Alberta, do hereby certify that we witness the signature of Glenn Winningham, House of Byrne, who is also a sovereign living soul and an inhabitant of the land of Texas. That's all you're just saying, I witnessed it. And what I'd like to do, if possible, after this meeting, I think I'm going to go ahead and send them because it's taking too long. But what I'd like to do is get about 26, because then that shows that I got a grand jury. And I'd like to basically tell them essentially that I got a grand jury, and you know, it makes them walk on eggshells, because they not only know there's one guy running around there somewhere, but now they know there's a whole bunch of people out there, and there's enough to make a grand jury, you know, and et cetera, et cetera. And this is going to be one of the things that I'm going to bring up in my criminal complaint with the pigs in Lethbridge. Yes.
How many signatures do you have so far?
On this one, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. On this one. Now, I'd like to get 26. For a grand jury, you need a minimum of 12. But you can have anywhere between 12 and 26, so the more the better. Yes?
We ran out of time, press, you know, at the end of last time, and so a lot of us weren't able to stick around and sign those documents because we were being ushered out. Maybe just pass them around as we're sitting.
Do them during the break.
Yeah, well, maybe I'll put them on the back table or something, or somewhere where we can do it without disturbing everybody and still get it done.
During the break's good.
That'd be better during the break. Now, I need to get some pens. Does anybody have any pens? Because I only brought one pen, and I got some here. Okay, yeah, I'll bring some of them back there, at least kind of spread them around so there's not too much of a crowd. Anyways, what I do, that's what these are, and so if you haven't signed it, check it over, make sure you haven't signed it, because I don't want, you know, too many, I don't want anybody doing it twice, because that makes it look like I'm trying to fabricate stuff. You know what I mean? And I want it to be completely legit. I mean, I'm basically telling them I'm going to drag your butt in court. That's what I'm telling them. I'm serving it on them by registered mail, or if I can get 3 people to serve it on them personally, that's even better. But I usually just serve it on by registered mail, and I'm telling them I'm building a case against you, sucker. And so you either on your oath of office or your butt is mine. And that's what I'm telling them. I'm just right in their face. And like these crooks in Lethbridge, you know, by the time I'm done, I wouldn't be surprised if the chief of police is out of there. As a matter of fact, I'm positive he's history. And the 3 cops that are involved, or the 4, you know, who knows what will happen with them. The police commissioner, you know, usually they kind of like to keep themselves separate, but I guarantee you they'll get slapped. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and lay an information with the judge, and you refuse to accept it, I'll file a criminal complaint against him and send it to because I've already administrated there's 2 judges in the provincial court system. There's one in Calgary and there's one in Edmonton. There's a presiding judge in Edmonton, and there's like a deputy presiding judge in Calgary. So I'll invite them to the party. You know, you want to screw with me? Let's party. You know, that's my attitude. Let's party. And so we'll party. Huh? Somebody say something.
I'll bring the hats.
Yeah. Anyways, so they have no authority whatsoever. They're basically a bunch of pirates operating on the high seas of commerce looking for some prize. And they're a bunch of thieves. They're criminals of the worst sort, and we need to put them in their place. You know, don't get me going. Did you know Canada is a municipal corporation domiciled in the District of Columbia?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
I always put this little thing in there. There's a statement in there in paragraph 29. And the paragraph numbers might be off just a little bit, but it's there around there somewhere. It says,
I have a question.
oh, here we go. Yes.
You say if you use their codes, rules, and regulations, but now you're bringing charges against them in court, is that meaning you're applying the codes, rules, and regulations to them?
That's right.
Because it applies to them,
That-
but you're not saying that any of it applies
That's right.
to you.
That's right. There's a thing in the law that says that when you reference their codes, rules, and regulations, that you're basically in some contract or something like that. And what I'm saying is that I'll read it to you. It says you're further noticed that the use of any statutes, codes, rules, regulations, or court citations in any document created by me at any time is only noticed that which is applicable to you and is not intended, nor shall it be construed to mean that I have conferred, submitted to, or entered into any jurisdiction alluded to thereby. And that's my little statement I put in there. And actually, a lot of this stuff I got from other people, you know. I mean, I come across stuff, I get emails all the time, and I come across something, and I think, oh man, I got to put that in my, and there's some really good stuff in here, I'll tell you, I've collected this stuff for years. And I think I've already made, I've made PDFs of all this stuff and more, a lot of stuff that's available online at Google. And Larry has access to it. If you send me an email, I'll share it with you. You can look at it, download it, whatever you want to do. And so you can have access to it. You can also go, a lot of this stuff is recorded at the Pinal County Recorder's Office. Okay, and so you can go there. And this gentleman here was saying that he went and downloaded a 300-page document that I recorded there. And that's all free. You just go there, you can download it. It has a watermark across it that says what? Unauthorized? Unofficial, that's what it says. Because, you know, what'll happen is if you want an official copy, you gotta send them $50 or something like that. Then they'll send you a certified official copy. Hey, they're in business to make money. I don't have a problem with that. They provide me with the service. I don't have a problem with them making a couple bucks off it. Anyways, the advantage to me is that it's recorded into the public. And now it's like big time in their face. Big time in their face. It ain't going away. And so, again, I'm a kind of in-your-face sort of guy, you know. Anyways, so that's basically what that's saying. Another thing I put in there is that if they receive commercial paper as compensation, as for their compensation, then they're a municipal corporation, and this is, then I tell them, and you have no more authority over me than a Walmart rent-a-cop.
That's right.
They don't. Now, another thing I do, and this is, we'll talk about this a little bit. There's a book called The Law of Nations, and I can't even remember who wrote it. It was written like in the mid-1700s. Anyways, there's 3 things that you need to be a nation. And you might think it's a little bit different than what you would expect.
Blackstone?
No, it wasn't. I'm thinking Story, but I don't think Story did. He lived in the 1800s.
Yeah.
Anyways, there's this book called The Law of Nations. It was, you know, around the time, the same contemporary with Blackstone. Anyways, there's 3 things. You need people, you need resources, you need land. Now you might think that you own your land, but I can tell you that chances are, if you're paying property taxes, you don't. You don't own it. You have a usufruct. Okay, look it up in a law dictionary. USUFRUCT. I'll put it here. Where did my marker go? There it is. It's called a usufruct. It's under Roman law. Basically allows you to use it. That's why you're paying an annual fee called property taxes. And the reason the usufruct is set up is because it was never paid for. When you pay for it, and we talked about this before, I guess this is for some of the people that weren't here. With this, okay, I can show you court cases that says right here. This note is legal tender. I can show you court cases that say that legal tender is a forced loan. Forced loan. In other words, you're forced to loan the government money. And if you go into a United States code, okay, this is the same thing as a Federal Reserve note. Okay, Federal Reserve is a private bank. The Bank of Canada is a private bank.
Absolutely. 13th Reserve.
And I can show you court cases that talk about how bank notes are forced loans. So what happens is when you pay for those things, that's essentially a promissory note. Somebody gave it to me. They said they're going to pay me when they get paid. And if I give it to you, I tell you that some guy said he's going to pay me. When he pays me, I'll pay you. Right? It's a promissory note that's circulating around the economy for money. Yes?
In fact, there's a Supreme Court case, 1978, Bank of Montreal versus Bank of Canada.
Yeah.
And it says exactly that bill they're talking about, those bills, it is a promissory note and it is legal tender. But the fact that it's legal tender does not take away from the fact that it remains a promissory note.
Yeah, it all depends on how much of a wordsmith you are and if you understand context.
It was a tough one to understand.
Yeah. Well, and the judges like to bury stuff in there that way really well. Anyways, so the point is that if you own land, okay, you have to really own it, okay? And in other words, you have to pay for it with gold or silver coin. And because these days they can presume that you used commercial paper to pay for it, I always put it in the deed. And if you do that, if it's done properly, and there's also such a thing as a land patent. You can bring forward all the rights and privileges of the original land patent. And if you do that in conjunction with paying it for it with gold or silver coin, then you'll own the land. And chances are, they won't even, like in Texas, I had the land, I had bought 20 acres in West Texas, and they went and after about a year, they sent me a property tax bill, and I sent back a registered letter to the county assessor, to the county attorney, to who else? County sheriff. And I told them that there's no usufruct set up because I paid for this with gold or silver coin, and it's on the deed, and I accepted their oath of office. I sent them one of these, and I just changed a couple paragraphs at the end, and haven't heard nothing since. So you can own the land. There's people I know in Arizona that have passed the land down through generations, and they never pay property taxes. They've never been contacted about it. Yes, did you have something there?
Yeah, couldn't you, for example, Crown land, couldn't you purchase that from the Crown, send them the silver coin, and if they didn't respond, you won't?
Well, this is actually something that I'd like to talk to some de jure chiefs about, because the Indians have such a powerful position.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, why do you have to buy it from the Crown? Why don't you buy it from the Indians? Your Indian title would be superior to Crown title any day.
That's right.
Yes.
I mean, you could take that Indian title into the courts, do a quiet title action, and the courts would have to rule in your favor. I mean, the Supreme Court has even said that the government has to settle the Indian land claims. The Indians could sit there and sell the land out from underneath the Crown, and there wouldn't be nothing they could do about it. That's what I don't understand. Why don't the Indians do that? You know, the Crown, they're just a bunch of thieves.
Because they don't know either.
Maybe we should educate them so they will.
Oh, I'd like to, if I knew some de jure chiefs that were, up for the task. Yes.
I know what you.
See? Yes?
Mark and I went up north, and we actually were at a court case, and we met the young chief of the father who just passed away, and he was going to court. And we asked him what he was doing in court, and he said, they got me driving without any registration or insurance.
Yeah.
And I asked him if he had looked in the courtrooms and seen what was going on. And he said, well, no, what do you mean? I said, well, did you notice that everybody in here is native, and that everybody's on the other side of the bench is white? And that, did you notice that they're actually stealing every day everything that you guys, that belongs to you?
No shit.
And he kind of went,
Excuse me.
he goes, Wow, he says, I didn't really think of it like that. So we got his name and his information. He actually is the chief of the whole upper north of Alberta. And he's like 27.
Well, I'll tell you, I mean, I'd be happy to talk to somebody like that and explain the law to them, because they have such a powerful position. You know, I've seen court cases that say that a land patent is a quitclaim deed. I mean, I don't know if you don't see those here in Canada too much in the States. You know, the Brooklyn Bridge in New York City has been sold a whole bunch of times. And by the way, the Brooklyn Bridge is owned by the state of New York, okay? Anyways, the Brooklyn Bridge has been sold a whole bunch of times, and it's always done on a quitclaim deed, okay? And a quitclaim deed essentially says, I sell you my interest in this property. I may not have an interest, but whatever interest I have, I sell you, okay? That's what a land patent is. And so the courts are even admitting that the government doesn't own the land. They're just selling a colorable title is all it is.
Yeah.
But that's the best title you can get. There's no better title that we can get is the land patent, unless we got the Indian title. I'm telling you, there's some, the Indians are, anyways, so there's 3 things required to be a nation. And if you're a nation, that brings you under international law, and international law has a common law too. And so, anyways, there's 3 things that are required to be a nation. You gotta have people. Well, in all my documents, I tell them I'm a holder of the office of the people. And I'm telling you, that I saw it one time and I thought, oh, I'm gonna start using that. And it works, I'm telling you. I've been into the courts, I've been to the Supreme Court, and you just see their reactions. I'm telling you, they don't want to talk to me. And you know.
What do you say again?
Huh?
Sorry, what do you say?
What?
What was that you say that they don't want to talk to you about?
They don't want to talk to me, that's right.
No, you're a holder of what?
I'm a holder of the office of the people, and I put the people in quotation marks. Anyways, so then I put that in there. The land, what I did is I brought forward, this one of the paragraphs that I have in here, says that I brought forward all the rights and privileges of the land, and I paid for the land with gold or silver coin. And I brought forward all the rights and privileges of the land patent, and I paid for it with gold or silver coin. And so therefore I have absolute ownership in the land. And then I also say that I have much more than in Canada my documents say. I have much more than $100 in lawful money. In other words, 20 each of these. I carry one with me all the time, because that's one of the things they're doing to you, okay, is they're treating you like a vagrant. Because if you don't have lawful money, then you're a vagrant. And if they ask you if you got money and you bring these things out, that's not money, I'm sorry, okay? That's commercial paper. That is worthless, that is nothing. You're a vagrant, you're bankrupt.
They should be taking you to a surrogacy court instead.
Well, they are. The court that they bring in, all the rules are the same courts that for dead people, right? For what are the courts for? Huh? Probate
Yeah.
courts. Yeah, you read the rules in the probate court. I mean, that's exactly what they're doing. They're treating you like a dead person, which is, it's true. A corporation is a dead person. You know? That's what they're doing. So, anyways, you show you have all of that, and that's what I put in my documents. Is because I'm essentially telling them that I'm a nation. The only legitimate power held by any government is power that's delegated by we the people, and I got court cases to talk about that. If I delegate authority, I still have the authority, right?
Yeah.
If I delegate something to you, I say you can go do that, I can still go do it. It's just that he has the right to do it too. If I delegate authority, I can revoke it too. I can say you can't do that anymore. Unalienable rights. You know, you go and look that up in a law dictionary, and this is some of the wordsmithing that these lawyers like to do, because all these law dictionaries are made up by lawyers. But if you look up unalienable, they'll say, go see inalienable. That's what they'll say. And then you go see inalienable, and inalienable says that your rights can be alienated by way of a contract. Well, that's not true. Sorry. Unalienable means that, and I've seen lawyers that go into court, crown prosecutors. I go in there and in Ontario, I went in there and the crown prosecutor came in there and he said, there's no contract here. It's a nullity. It doesn't exist. Case dismissed. Because the government can't commit treason. And if the government gets me into a contract by which I lose my sovereignty, that's treason. That's the definition of treason. That's a breach of trust. The government can't commit treason. Only people in the government can. That's why you have to go after the individuals. You can't go after the government. The government's, it's a corporation. It can't commit treason. You can't go after the government. You have to go after the individuals. And so they already know your rights are unalienable. They already know who you are. But you have to assert it. They'll sit there and walk all over you until you assert your rights. A law merchant contract's a nullity. Law merchant contract, there's nothing valid, even remotely. Remember, under a law merchant, under the Uniform Commercial Code, okay, you go look and read the Uniform Commercial Code, and it talks about persons all through it, okay? It's only for corporations. It's a private system. Matter of fact, if you understand law merchant, it's private international law, right? It's private.
I like
That's their system. It has nothing to do with me. They're trying to impose one of their law merchant contracts on me, but that's private. That's their system. It has nothing to do with me. But you have to make the argument. You know, remember, we went and ran out and got social insurance numbers. And so when we get a social insurance number, then that creates that entity out there that they can make all sorts of money off through the IMF. That's exactly what's going on. They put you in jail for 3 days on a long weekend, and the International Monetary Fund pays them $70,000.
Big bucks.
That's what's going on. And so it's because we went and ran out and got a social insurance number. There's no law that says you have to get a social insurance number. I don't have them for my kids.
Yeah, they assign them automatically now here.
Yeah. Well, again, yeah, I don't know. In the States, you know, my wife was getting older when she had our last one, and so she was like in her 40s, so she wanted to do it in the hospital. Otherwise, she had the babies at home, and it's no problem then because you don't even register the births. Put them in the back of the Bible. But so at the hospital, I'll get you in a second here. Anyways.